Periscope sees what others miss. I'll make that all others. Periscope sees what all others miss because it peers in the darkened corners. Experience is the word people use to cover their mistakes, but the Periscope won't let it be their alibi. I guess that's it.
You're brilliant today, Roger.
Thank you, dear. Yeah, I'll get it. Hello? Oh, hello, dear. Just a minute. When you typed up that column, send it over to the printer, will you?
Yes, Roger.
Hello? Yes, I know. Well, I've been meaning to call you.
You're always meaning to lately. But I know how it is. I mustn't be jealous of a newspaper.
That's right. You're so understanding. It's one of the secrets of your charm. Anything particular on your mind?
Well, yes, darling. About those notes. They're due in a few days, and you'll have to sign new ones. Of course, darling, when we're married, it won't matter, but in the meantime,
All right, Doris. I'll see you when I can.
How about this afternoon? I might buy you a drink.
I'll take you up on that. See you in about an hour. Ladies shouldn't listen.
I couldn't help it, Roger. What's all this about signing new notes?
It's better to sign them than pay them. Remember, that's the $50,000 that keeps the Periscope going.
Oh, I know. But she's still talking about getting married.
Don't be difficult, dear. Anyway, that old fool she's married to won't give her a divorce. I'll be back in time to check the proofs.
Oh, it's you.
Yes, it's me.
What do you want? I have an appointment, a business appointment.
Business. In that get-up? 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Now, you listen to me, Harry Jackson.
Doris, why do you have to be such a fool? Don't you know that everybody's talking about the way Lewis is taking you while he plays around with other women?
You're just making that up, but it won't do you any good. I'm still going to marry Roger Lewis if I can ever get this endless divorce routine settled with you.
You'll never get a divorce from me while he's in the picture.
You agreed to a divorce.
I agreed when I realized what a handicap an actress would have tied to a has-been theatrical producer, even though he did give her start, not to speak of a fortune.
Your dialogue's still dated. That was the trouble with your shows.
According to Mr. Lewis. The Periscope sees what all others miss. Editor and publisher Roger Lewis. All the news that's unfit to print. Dished out by a blackmailing, unprincipled leech.
They say envy is the tribute that failure pays to success.
Success? He's been kicked off of a dozen papers and syndicates. He wouldn't even be publishing that rag if he hadn't got the money from you. My money.
You were supporting your wife. I invested that money with Roger, and what's wrong with that?
Doris, why can't you have a little sense? Think of your reputation.
I'll take care of my reputation.
I suppose it's silly of me, but I'd still like you to be happy.
Then why don't you leave me alone?
I will. I'm going back upstate to the town I came from, to my daughter.
The country school teacher. She's just about your speed.
Well, at least she wouldn't wear the jewels her husband gave her to impress other men with. You won't impress Lewis with that anymore.
Harry, don't you dare. You can't take my jewels. I won't let you.
You'll get them back when you come to your senses.
I'll call the police.
Go ahead, call them.
I'll get even with you for this, Harry Jackson.
Wow. Great impresario. What'd she do, throw you out again?
Why don't you mind your own business, Lewis?
Other people's business is my business.
Yes, I know that.
Getting second-story work to your other accomplishments?
I took them so she wouldn't give them to you.
Or was it because you needed the money yourself?
Listen, Lewis, you know what I think of you. No, I don't want any more trouble from you. Get out of my way.
Very well. I just wanted to be sure that he was on his way. I've got to speak to Mr. Harrison right away. No, one of the other attorneys won't do. Mr. Harrison knows all about my affairs. We'll reach him in the conference room. It's very important I know he'll talk to me. All right, call me right back. I'll be waiting.
Yes, Mr. Lewis. What can I do for you?
I had an appointment with Miss King, but I'm afraid something's happened to her.
What makes you think that?
She didn't answer when I knocked on the door. I'm sure she's in.
You're sure?
I saw her husband leaving the apartment. He admitted they quarreled.
Well, we don't like to have our tenants disturbed, but maybe we should take a look. I'll get my key. Miss King.
Doris. Doris.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis.
He threatened to kill her. Now he has.
We mustn't touch anything. Not until the police get here. Get me the police department.
Lieutenant Webster.
My name is Saunders. I manage the apartment house, and this is Mr. Lewis.
Well, Roger Lewis himself.
This is terrible, Webster. Harry Jackson's been threatening to kill Doris. Now he finally has.
She was Jackson's wife, wasn't she?
That's right. She was going to be divorced so we could be married.
What makes you so sure Jackson did this job?
I saw him leave the apartment. We had an argument.
About Doris?
About her jewels. He had them crammed in his pocket.
Have you any idea how much the jewelry's worth?
He took all she had, about 100,000 at least.
People are killed every day for less than that. Who actually discovered the body? You, Mr. Lewis?
No, we both discovered it.
That's right. After I left Jackson, I came to the apartment here and knocked on the door. Doris didn't answer, and the door was locked, so I went down to get Saunders.
And I used my pass key.
It all seems to check okay. As to the manner of death, she was obviously strangled.
Poor Doris. This has all been rather a strain on me. If you haven't any more questions, why...
You can go, Lewis. You too, Saunders. But you're both material witnesses, and we'll be keeping in touch with you, so don't leave town.
I won't. Till Jackson is caught and gets what he deserves.
I'm beginning to think he doesn't like Jackson. Find out where Jackson lives and stake the place out. Dig up everything you can on him. Bring the information to me or District Attorney Richards.
Yes, sir.
And tell the doc and identification boys to come up. And you might as well let the reporters come too.
Hey, murder extra, Doris King murdered. Police seek Harry Jackson. Thank you, sir. Extra murder. Harry Jackson sought for murder. Doris King is murdered for jewels. Extra, get your paper. Extra, murder extra, get your extra. Showgirl murdered by state producer extra.
Caught up with Jackson yet?
He hasn't shown his apartment. None of his friends have seen him.
He's still on the coop, all right. And I know where he's headed.
Where?
Maybe you're smart enough to figure it out from this report I just got from him.
Oh, from the detective I had backtracking Jackson.
Harry Jackson, born Sanborn Falls, New York. Married 1923. One daughter, Linda. Wife died 1935. Produced 2 hit shows. Doris King featured. Married King, 1940.
We know the rest. What about the daughter?
She's teaching in the high school there.
Well, maybe I ought to go up and have a talk with her.
That's right. But don't be tough with her. Be nice, sort of kid her along. You know, she may be the key to this whole case.
Well, if she is, we'll see what the key will unlock.
Linda.
Good morning, Dr. Lowell.
Sit here, my dear.
Thank you. I know you get here early, so I hurried over to see you.
I understand, Linda.
Oh, you read about my father.
Yes, and you have my sympathy.
Oh, Dad didn't kill anybody. He couldn't. He's impulsive and irresponsible like most artistic people, but he couldn't do a thing like that.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Linda. Your father will need people who have faith in him.
Dr. Lowell, I must get leave to go to New York and help him.
Why, of course, my dear. Go right along. Take all the time you want. And don't hesitate to ask me if there's anything I can do to help.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr.
Not
Lowell.
at all, my dear.
Good morning, Miss Jackson.
Good morning.
Nice little town, Sanborn Falls.
Yes, but I haven't time to discuss it at the moment.
I'm afraid you'll have to take time.
What do you mean?
You mind if I get in and have a little talk with you?
I most certainly do mind. If you don't get out of this car, I'll call a policeman.
You have one. I'm Lieutenant Webster.
You certainly don't act like a policeman.
How is a policeman supposed to act?
You must be up here about my father. If you think I'm hiding him, I'm not.
I know you're not. I've been following you around a while.
Then they haven't found Dad yet?
Not at the last report. Things would go better for him if he gave himself up.
I realize that. Dad was always temperamental and unpredictable. But he wouldn't kill anybody, not even Doris King.
You don't sound as if you liked her.
I hated her. My father took her out of the chorus, gave her parts, built her up. He introduced her to his friends, married her, gave her everything. Then when he had reverses, she threw him over for that horrible Lewis creature.
That's pretty strong language.
He rates it.
Well, that may be true. But he's not wanted for murder, and your father is.
Yes, I know. I've just got to find Dad and help clear him.
Well, maybe we might sort of hunt together. I think I could bring him out of hiding with your help.
How do I know I could trust you?
You play along with me, and I'll see that your father gets a square deal.
All right, Lieutenant. I think you'll give him a fair deal. We'd better be getting on to New York.
This is the most heinous crime in the history of this state. Death in the electric chair is too good for a homicidal maniac like Harry Jackson. It is to be hoped that the police will not show the lethargy they've shown in other cases where Lieutenant Webster is in charge. Get that in the column for the late edition, will you, Mona?
Yes, Roger.
Hello, Biggy.
Why didn't you come on in?
I heard the brain dictating. I know how it is with us big operators.
You mean you thought you might overhear something you could use? Go on in. He's been waiting for you.
How come?
How come what?
You get a front seat at a bump off and every rag in town scoops you.
There are such things as sentiment and ethics.
Sentiment costs dough. What's ethics?
Something you're not bothered with.
So I got one worry less.
You know Jackson pretty well, don't you?
Never met him.
What? You told me you were chummy with him at the track, but you laid his bet.
It ain't healthy to know guys the cops are combing for.
Well, I'm not the cops. I want you to find them before they do. You know your way around in spots they can't get to. Tap the grapevine. Try anything you want, but find Jackson.
Biggy can if anybody can. What do you want with him?
I want the real scoop I'll have when I tip off the police where he is. I want to be personally responsible for sending him to the chair.
You kind of hate in bunches, don't you? What makes you so sure Jackson will burn? According to the papers, it's his word against yours.
It's a matter of the jewels. 100,000 in motives for murder. He'll still have them. They're too hot to dispose of. Try and locate where he has them hidden. When you call me, I'll have the police there in 10 minutes.
Okay. Only there's a little matter of lettuce.
I'll pay you 200.
Oh, no. Not on the cuff. You owe me 5 C's already.
Biggie boy, I'm broke. I'm in such a condition I could go into bankruptcy and wipe out all my debts.
You could? Mine too?
That's right. What would you rather do? Lose 500 or have me owe you 7?
Make it 7.15, I'll play.
All right. You find Jackson, I'll owe you 7.50.
It's a deal.
How do you do, sir? I can do something for you?
Well, I'd like to borrow some money on this.
How much?
All I can get.
Papa!
Excuse me, please. Now about the ring.
I've changed my mind.
But
Who's?
Me, chum, your old pal Biggy. Let me in. Hi, Harry.
How did you find me?
Well, I was having my shoe shined over on Elm and reading about your troubles when who goes by but you? So I followed you.
What do you want?
Well, I want to help you, pal. Only heaters give me cold flashes.
Help me. Why all this sudden big-heartedness?
Look, Harry, you done me a lot of favors when I was flat, when everybody gave me the go-by. Do you think I'd let you down now?
Say, are you still snooping for Roger Lewis?
Nah, I quit. Anyway, that was just a sideline. Don't worry about that leech. He cuffed me for almost $1,000, then threatened to sing to the cops on me about an old caper.
I suppose I have to trust somebody.
Sure. You got any plans? You know you can't stay cooped up here forever.
I'll have to stay here till I get a good lawyer. With Lewis trying to frame me into the electric chair, I've got to have a man like Jerry Mallon to defend me. It's too dangerous for me to go uptown and see him.
Yeah, and he won't touch a case till he gets money on the table. Big money.
I've got the money. That is something as good as money.
And you did get the rocks, like the paper said.
I paid for them. They're mine. especially now.
I know how you feel, Harry. But other folks feel different. Those stones are hotter.
I know they're hot, but what can you do with them?
Well, I can't tell till I see them.
Since when are you an expert?
I used to front for an outfit that run them across the border. The paper said 100 G's. They'll take a year to cool. I might be able to get you 25.
All right, get it. Then take the money to Jerry Mallon as a retainer.
Okay. Leave it to me. Don't worry about a thing.
No, Biggy. Biggy, everything depends on you. You've got to get Jerry Mallon to take my case.
Relax, Harry. Relax. You're getting the creeps. You know I'm your pal. Don't go no place till you see me.
So glad to hear from you. I've been terribly worried. Are you all right? I want to see you.
I want to see you too, Linda. But I can't take any chance on being seen by the police.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about, Dad. I've met a police officer who really wants to help you. His name is Webster.
I don't care who he is, Linda. My freedom's at stake. I want you to promise you won't bring the police into this.
All right, then, Dad, I promise. But where can I see you? 634 West 3rd Street, room 5. All right, darling, I'll be there in a half hour or so. Goodbye.
Hi, pal.
Judging from your subtle air of triumph, you must have gotten a line on Jackson.
Don't be crude, Mr. Lewis. To put it couthly, I found him.
You did? Where?
Well, you know, I got some big connections in this burg, so I took advantage of them. I let a word drop here, somebody put a word in there, and what did it amount to? Just words.
So?
So I said to myself, Biggy, you know, I always talk to myself. Biggy, I said, you can't get no help. You gotta walk alone. You gotta get out your crystal ball and go
Psychopathic, you mean?
Psychopathic, that's me. So then some numbers started popping in my head. Numbers like 634 West 3rd Street, room 5. What do you think of that?
I think you've got a mild case of genius, Biggy. So you went there and found him. What happened then?
Oh, I conned him into thinking I was his friend.
Did he have the jewels?
He did have.
He did have them.
Now we got him.
So you can't resist larceny. I didn't tell you to steal those jewels. I told you to find out where he had them.
I didn't steal them. Jackson gave them to me to sell for him. Look, I can get 40 grand for us to cut up. Now, why should they gather dust in a police vault?
Because they're the evidence that'll convict Jackson. Can't you get that into your pygmy brain?
Okay. Okay, so I'll put them back.
Tell Jackson they're too hot to handle. Tell him anything. But when you leave him, call me so I can tip off the police.
Okay.
Linda.
Linda.
Dad. Oh, it's so good to see you. Are you all right?
Yes, dear. I'm all right. That was smart, the way you found me.
It wasn't my idea. The police officer I told you about thought of
You
it.
didn't tell them you were coming here.
No, I kept my promise.
Good.
But, Dad, you can't go on this way, hiding out forever.
Well, I don't intend to. It's only a day or two longer until I find a good attorney.
Have you seen one yet?
I have someone contacting Jerry Mallon.
Oh, he'd be wonderful if you could get him, but isn't he expensive?
Yes, he is, dear, but I have to get him. I'm selling the jewels to take care of it.
Then you did take them.
Yes. But, Linda, I didn't kill Doris.
I know you didn't.
Thank you, dear.
She is dead. Who did kill her?
Roger Lewis. Who else could have?
Oh, Dad, if you'd only go to the police, tell them what you know.
Oh, I can't, Linda. Not without a good attorney to protect me. I couldn't stand it. The browbeating, the endless questioning, the probing into my private affairs. I've been through too much for that. After all, I'm not a hard-boiled criminal. I'm sensitive. I'm not used to hall bedrooms. I had a home of my own, a beautiful home. I had everything that went with it. I was successful, and now look at me. I can't take any more, Linda. I can't seem to think. My mind is breaking down.
Oh, don't talk that way, Dad. You'll come out all right, I know it. You're innocent, and we're going to prove it.
That's right, Linda. Don't you worry about it. I'll be all right. You'd better run along now. And please, try to relax and leave things to me.
Well, isn't there something I can do for you or get you to make you comfortable?
No, dear, I'll be all right.
When can I see you again?
I'll keep in touch with you.
All right, Dad. Goodbye.
Jackson still in there?
He is, but the girl just left. I camped here like you told me on the phone.
Okay.
Who is it?
Police, open up. Dead. I'll call homicide. There should be a fortune in jewels here. Have a look around.
Yeah, unless he passed them on to his daughter or somebody else.
Well, it won't hurt to have a look.
Hello, Biggy.
Hi, Johnny. The boys at the place uptown told me I might find you here.
I got a little deal cooking with Pop Swenson. Come in. What's on your mind, Biggy?
Well, I wanted to ask you a little advice, Johnny. Supposing a guy had some rocks that another guy told him to stash back with still another guy. But the first guy found out that the cops had caught up with the second guy, so he still had the rocks.
The first guy should do just what you've done. Bring the stones to Johnny Rocco.
How'd you know?
Knowing things and people is my business. It's not so difficult to figure what a couple of guys like you and Lewis are up to.
Well, you won't tell Lewis on me, will you, Johnny?
Now, your double cross of Lewis is the part I like. He's made several passes at me in that sheet of his. If it wasn't strictly the rules of my game to lay off newspaper men, he'd be tucked away.
Then you'll handle him for me, Rock? Swell. How much can you get for him, Rock? How much?
That'll depend on a little favor you might do for me.
Anything, chum. That is, anything within reason.
You used to run stuff across the border. Have you still got connections down there?
Sure, sure.
I want you to make arrangements to run a guy across for me next week.
I think I can arrange it. Who's the guy?
A fellow by the name of Mort Stone.
Mort Stone. Never heard of him. But that's nothing against him. Okay, Johnny, I'll start laying my lines.
Call me when you got everything set. As for these, I'll have to hold those for a while till the heat evaporates.
Well, look, don't hold him too long. I'm flat, and Lewis keeps cuffing me.
How much is he into you for?
7.5 C's.
Yeah. That'll be on account.
On account of getting even with Lewis, huh? Thanks. Thanks, Johnny.
Hello, Linda. I see you know about it.
Yes, I know about it. About the way you hounded my father to his death. And you were going to be different from other policemen. You were going to see that he got a fair deal.
I really tried to. I wanted you with us when we found him. But after all, you broke your promise about calling me.
What did you expect me to do? Dad refused to see me if I brought the police.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know about that. I hate to seem official at a time like this, but I'm afraid I'll have to ask you a question or two.
I understand.
Did your father give you Doris King's jewels?
Of course not.
They weren't in his room.
He said something about using them to get money for an attorney.
I believe you, Linda, but I'm afraid headquarters won't. They'll expect me to make a search.
Headquarters thinks I'm a thief and my father's a murderer, while the real killer of Doris King isn't even suspected.
Who do you mean?
Roger Lewis. Dad was sure he killed Doris.
But what motive would Lewis have?
What motive does he have in smearing and destroying the lives and reputations of people? He's so full of evil impulses, he doesn't need the motives of normal people. He just acts on one of his impulses and kills someone.
Well, suppose you were right. That's not evidence.
What evidence did you have against my father? Why don't you grill Lewis for a change? I wish I had the chance.
Maybe you will. The truth might come out if I could get you and Lewis together.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
I'll drop you at the district attorney's office, then I'll pick up Lewis. And while you're getting ready, I'll have a look around.
The death of Harry Jackson by his own hand is proof of his guilt. The Doris King killing, as this column has maintained since the murder. I guess that's his bottle. Come in.
Well, burning the midnight oil, it ain't even midnight.
You don't have to leave, Mona. Biggy and I don't have any secrets. I don't, anyway. As I recall, you were to give the jewels back to Jackson, then call me so I could phone the police.
Yeah, but when I left Jackson, the cops were downstairs already. I had a tough time getting away.
It's funny, but none of the newspapers that scooped me again, thanks to you, none of them mentioned the jewels.
Well, maybe the cops have reasons to clam up about them.
Or maybe you gave them to Rocco.
Rocco? What do you mean?
Why, listen, you cheap chiseler. One of my boys saw you going into Rocco's place. Give me one good reason, aside from peddling the jewels, why you should be seeing Rocco.
Well, that's a cinch. Rocco's been wanting me to do him a little favor.
It's like an elephant needing a favor from a mouse.
Yeah? Well, it so happens that this mouse is giving the elephant a lift. I'm running a guy across the border next week, see?
Who's the guy?
Some guy named Mort Stone. But remember, it's confidential.
Not interested in your petty angles, so long as I'm sure you put those jewels back.
Sure I did. I know better than to cross you up.
I hope so. All right, now beat it.
Sure.
What do you think?
I don't think he'd cross you up, Roger. But if he did, he left himself wide open.
That's right. I happen to know who Mort Stone is. Boys will have to break him out of jail before Biggy takes him across any border.
Sounds like trouble.
Don't worry about it.
I better get these things typed up, Roger. Good evening, Lieutenant Webster.
Good evening. Thanks for announcing me.
How are you, Webster?
Fine. What do you think of Jackson's suicide?
Oh, I halfway expected it.
Ever met his daughter, Linda?
No, but Doris has told me about her.
Linda has the odd idea you killed Doris. Maybe if you dropped down at headquarters, a chat with her and Richards might be enlightening all around.
Is this an arrest?
No. But it's a good idea to keep in with the cops.
All right. That's something I wanted to take up with Richards anyway.
Relax, Miss Jackson. They'll be here any minute now. Yes?
Lieutenant Webster and Mr. Lewis are here.
Send them in.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Hello, Lewis. Miss Jackson, Mr. Lewis.
How'd you do?
You two might be called the surviving principals to the Doris King murder case, which culminated with the suicide of Harry Jackson. Unfortunately, there are several loose threads dangling, particularly with regard to the jewels.
Didn't you find them in Jackson's rooms?
No, nor in Miss Jackson's rooms.
Why should they be in her rooms?
Because, Mr. Lewis, I saw my father before he died. The suspicion has arisen that he might have given me the jewels.
Considering the fortune involved, you could have taken them yourself. I like that suspicion much better.
Why, you contemptible...
No demonstration, please.
Demonstrations? What do you expect me to do when my father's called a murderer without trial or conviction? When I'm called a thief without any proof but the suspicion of an evil mind like his? Well, since we're throwing suspicions around, here's one more. If you really want to find the murderer of Doris King, you'll investigate Roger Lewis.
As I told Webster, if you've any evidence that I killed Doris, arrest me. And permit me to call my attorney.
I haven't any evidence that would stand up in court, and you know it.
We can all play that game. If you have any evidence that I took Doris' jewels, I demand that you arrest me.
I'm not arresting anybody. Yet. But you're both material witnesses. So don't leave the state without getting my permission.
Don't worry. I won't.
I don't care to discuss this case any further, Lewis.
Neither do I. But just to show you I'm an amicus curiae, I have some information for you on another matter.
Well, go ahead.
There's going to be a break at the state penitentiary.
Where did you learn this?
From a dependable source. Mort Stone, the bond thief, is going to be delivered next week.
I'll look into it, Mr. Lewis. I'm grateful. Although I'd like to know your motive for telling me this.
Does a man have to have a motive for being a good citizen?
The daughter of that wife killer is still in town. Must be having a hard time hawking the rock she lifted from Daddy. She's at liberty only because of a simple Simon sleuth who has sentiment instead of sand in his makeup.
Isn't there something that can be done to stop him, Jim?
Nothing short of a poke in the nose. They break cops for that. You could sue him for libel, but it's expensive and you'd probably lose. Oh, the only way to really stop him is to prove he's wrong.
Tell me honestly. Do you think he's wrong?
It might be sentiment, as he says. But I can't think of you as a jewel thief or the daughter of a murderer.
Thanks.
To get back to Lewis, I'll admit he's the type of man who wouldn't stop at murder. But unfortunately, he has a perfect alibi. Anyway, we're not giving up the ship. I'm working on the people around Lewis. His secretary, Mona Durant, for instance.
What's she like?
Odd. Cagey. She's probably in love with Lewis. As soon as I've learned a little more about her, I'll have a talk with her. Yeah, in the meantime, detectives get hungry, just like human beings. How about having a bite with me?
I'd love to, Jim. I'll get my coat.
Hello, Biggy. Have you got that border deal all set? Good. The party will contact you tomorrow morning. Let's have no slip-ups. Okay.
Okay, you guys.
Go ahead, Mort. You know this part of the yard better than we do.
Keep in the shadows.
They're making their break from the workshop, Warden.
We might as well wind it up. Sound the alarm.
Yes, sir.
We'll never make it now, Mort.
Well, go back and give yourself up if you want to and take 6 months solitary. Me, I'm going out of here, one way or the other.
Or we'll shoot!
I tell you, I didn't do it, Johnny. I know better than to cross you up. I ain't that crazy. You gotta believe me, Johnny. You gotta. Johnny, say something, will you? You sit there, just like a sphinx. Say something, will you? You're driving me nuts. I did everything you said. I made arrangements for Stone to the border. I fixed an overnight hideout for him.
Who'd you talk to about it? You must have squealed to someone.
I never squealed to nobody. I wouldn't. Wait a minute, Johnny. Wait a minute. I did talk to somebody. Lewis. But I had to spill it. He had me dead to rights about going to your place. I had to think of an alibi.
Your alibi put my brother in the morgue.
Your brother? Mort Stone, you're...
Too bad you and Lewis talk so much.
No, Johnny. No, you can't. You can't.
Miss Jackson?
Yes?
I'm from District Attorney Richards' office.
Oh, come in.
Thanks, but the district attorney would like to see you.
Well, I was just going to dinner.
Well, this won't take long. It's about some new evidence in the Doris King case.
It is?
Lieutenant Webster's with him, and they'll see you at the office.
All right. I'll come right with you.
Thank you.
This doesn't look like a police car.
Maybe it isn't.
Then who are you? Where are you taking me?
I want you to meet a friend of mine. You and he have interests in common. Relax. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, welcome to Swanson's Landing. Make yourself at home, lady.
Miss Jackson, Mr. Rocco. How do you do, Miss Jackson? May I offer you a drink?
Will you please tell me what this is all about?
Won't you sit down? We seem to have something in common, Miss Jackson. We've both received a great deal of attention, unfavorable attention, from Roger Lewis.
I certainly have. He keeps accusing me of having Doris King's jewels, and I haven't got them.
I know you haven't,
How do you know?
because I have them.
Where did you get them?
From the man your father gave them to raise money.
Then why haven't you given them to the police?
My relations with the police are a bit strained. I'd rather give them to you if you'll cooperate in a little idea I have in mind.
What kind of an idea?
Phone call to Roger Lewis to get him down here.
But I don't understand. What good would that do?
We might persuade him to confess to the murder of Doris King.
Naturally, I want him to confess. But it seems to me there must be more legal ways.
What legal ways? Lewis stole your father's wife, killed her, blamed your father, and hounded him to his death. Now he's hounding you. What's the law done about it?
Nothing yet.
My brother was murdered because of Lewis interfering in other people's business. And because of Lewis, your father lost his life. I want him to pay for it in the chair, as he deserves. Don't you?
What do you want me to say on the phone?
Mona?
Yes, Roger?
Here are the corrections on the column.
This Linda Jackson item looks as if you dipped your pen in acid.
Tomorrow's will look like vitriol.
Roger, I'm worried. Your attacks have been so vicious lately. I'm afraid someone might strike back.
And kill me? Not the kind of insects I step on. They haven't got the nerve. Don't worry about it.
Periscope, Mr. Lewis' office. Linda Jackson? Just a moment, please.
Get on the extension. Roger Lewis speaking.
I'm at Pop Swenson's Landing on Long Island Sound, Mr. Lewis. He's an old friend of my family's.
That's very interesting. What has it got to do with me?
We've located the man who has Doris King's jewels, and I think he may know who murdered her. His name is Biggy Wolf.
Biggy Wolf? Well, have you called the police?
No. This Wolf is pretty cagey. If he suspected police interest, he'd disappear. Besides, I came out here to get away from the police. Look, Mr. Lewis, I'm only interested in clearing my father's name and getting those jewels back. Wolf is the key to the whole thing. Pop thinks you might help us make him talk. Of course, if you're not interested, we'll have to manage without you.
Well, naturally, as a newspaper man, I'd like to be in on it. I'll drive out and meet you at the boathouse. Don't do anything till I get there. Right?
Roger, do you realize this might be a trap of some kind?
I realize that. I can't take the chance of letting them talk to Wolf. If he spills his connection with me, there's no telling what it could lead to.
What could it lead to? After all, you're not involved in the murder. Only in Biggy's stupidity about the jewels.
That's true, but I wouldn't want that to get out either. Anyway, I walked out of traps before. Nobody ever shot a columnist, and millions have wanted to.
Please be careful, dear. I'll wait here till you get back.
Now that he's gone, we can go up and question Mona.
Good evening, Lieutenant.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Lewis isn't here.
Well, that's all right. We just came to have a look around.
You'll need a search warrant for that.
We have one. Begin with those files.
Just what do you expect to find, Lieutenant?
Who knows? The Doris King jewels, possibly.
Why, that's ridiculous.
Then perhaps you can tell me why Lewis shows such a great interest in them.
His only interest is to find out who has them, where they are.
That may be just a blind to cover up his own theft of the jewels.
Nonsense. As a matter of fact, I can prove it was Harry Jackson who stole those jewels.
You can?
The day Doris King was killed, she phoned me. Right after the jewels were stolen.
She did. What'd she say?
She wanted Mr. Lewis. She said that Harry Jackson had just taken the jewels and run out.
Would you testify to that in court?
Certainly, only I don't see why.
But I do. That testimony will put Lewis in the electric chair.
But how?
You proved Doris was alive when Jackson left. Therefore, everything Lewis told us was a tissue of lies. The only one interested in lying would be the murderer.
Oh, no, I can't believe it.
Where did Lewis go just now?
I don't know.
Do you want to be held as an accessory to a murder?
No, I don't. He went out on Long Island, a place called Pop Swenson's.
Oh, Pop Swenson's Landing. I think I know where it is. Take her down and book her as a material witness. Hello, boy. Mr. Lewis, I suppose. Come aboard.
Well, I hope this isn't a wild goose chase.
I hardly think you'll find it that.
Rocco. Nice to see you again, Mr. Lewis.
Don't reef your topsail, mate. It isn't going to be any squall.
Nice company you keep, Miss Jackson.
May I go now, Mr. Rocco?
What's your hurry? Stick around and see the fun.
But you said that after he got here...
You should have known the bait wouldn't survive the trap either.
I should have known you're no more interested in clearing my father than he is.
But Lewis and I are settling is closer to me than your father. Too bad other people have to get hurt. Just to keep the record straight, all this is in memory of a kid named Mort Stone.
Seems to be a lot of trouble over a cheap con.
That cheap con was my kid brother.
I didn't know that, Johnny. Anyway, I didn't finger him. It was Biggy Wolf.
Biggy's lying in a ditch. But before he went, he cut you in. You didn't get the picture?
Listen, Rocco. Have you forgotten what happens when you kill a newspaper man? What happened in Chicago a few years back when they shot that reporter?
I know, Lewis. If it wasn't for that, I'd have gotten you years ago. But this is a different setup from the one in Chicago. There were witnesses there, leads, clues. There won't be anything here. No one's gonna know anything about this but these boys, and they'll be in just as deep as I am. When they find your body, wherever the current takes it, it could come from 100 landings. From 1,000 boats. Besides, they'll find these jewels in your pocket. It'll look like you and Miss Jackson canceled each other because of them. All right, get downstairs.
Guy parked down the road and got out. It could be a dick.
We'll get them down to the landing. Pop, stall him off. Al, come on.
Pop Swenson? That's me, mate. New York Police.
Oh, come on in.
Thanks.
It isn't anybody in trouble around here, I hope.
I was told that Mr. Lewis would be here. Roger Lewis.
Oh, nobody's been here. It seems like I heard that name someplace.
He's a well-known newspaper man.
Oh, I probably saw his name on the papers. But what would he be doing here?
I'm wondering myself. The person I got the tip from isn't completely reliable.
Well, go ahead, boy. Look around. I know you fellas got your job to do.
Thanks.
It's nothing but my boat down there. It's an electric flash if you want to look.
Never mind, Pop. Guess I got a bump steer. Sorry I troubled you.
No trouble, Captain. Come up sometime when the big ones are biting.
Good night, Pop.
Good night.
That was close. Get him in the boat. You'll be back. Let's go upstairs and help Pop. All right. In the boat. What's the matter?
I don't know.
Just in time, Webster.
Yeah, your secretary told me where I could find you. You're under arrest for the murder of Doris King.
What do you mean?
Your secretary smashed your alibi. You better let me have that gun.
You'll never take me, Webster.
Well, this is where I came in, remember?
I remember.
Nice little town, Sanborn Falls.
Yes, but I haven't time to discuss it at the moment.
But I suppose if I don't get out of the car, you'll call a policeman.
Then what would I do with the one I've got?